Hey, it's your friend Hilary, and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Your past doesn't determine your future, no matter what you've experienced. Just know that it's possible to redesign your life from today by simply drawing a line in the sand and making a choice to live your best life. Hello and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Today I have a guest and it's Kaitlin Quavis. Now this lady is one buzzy, happy lady. I love her Instagram posts. I love seeing all of her posts on social media. They're all happy, smiley, energizing posts. Well, I'm going to read Kaitlin's bio that she sent me, and now you'll be able to understand why she is that super happy person. Okay, Kaitlin is the owner and founder of Think Happy. She is a lover of French roast coffee, golden doodles, and pump-up music. She believes happiness is something we each create for ourselves and that you are in the driver's seat of your own life. Outside of work, she is a mum to Eleanor and James, wife to Oakley, and a dog mum to Guppy. Think Happy serves all women who struggle with juggling all the things and want to create sustainable systems to help them simplify their lives and allow them to fill up their own cup first, focusing specifically on time and task management, building sustainable habits and routines, and keeping your own cup full. The goal is always to leave you feeling happier. I love that.
Aww.
When I first started seeing you, you just started popping up on my feed, and I thought, who is this girl? Why is she so happy? And I absolutely love it. How did you decide to make a business around happiness, which we would mostly consider as something we're responsible for?
Yeah. So I guess the primary reason that I started this business is I was just feeling like I wanted to be more fulfilled in the work that I was doing. And so I guess just a little bit of a backstory would be helpful. So I left my 9-to-5 at the end of last year to go into Think Happy full time. My background is in marketing, and I've always had a goal of wanting to own my own business. I just didn't really realize it would be one that I would build from the ground up. So Think Happy actually started as a book, which was published in March 2020. And this book, it came out because I realized people were always asking me the same question, which is, Kaitlin, how are you always so happy? And my answer was always the same. It's not that I'm always so happy. It's just that I'm very intentional about creating happiness in my life. And the question that always followed that was, okay, so how? How do you do that? So essentially, the book just outlines my take on stepping into becoming super intentional with your own life. It covers time and task management, taking care of your body, both mentally and physically, carving out time to serve yourself, things like that. So fast forward to, so the book came out March 2020. We are recording this almost in Q4 of 2023, which blows my mind. And now I'm sitting here focusing specifically on coaching women with time and task management, building sustainable routines, and keeping their own cup filled. And Hilary, as I'm sitting here saying this backstory, I can't help but think how we're super paralleled because you also just published your book.
I did. And what I just picked up, and I have to hold mine up, 3 ones in, I love this book. It is the same as yours, really, but mine is along the lines of being self-confident, and the same thing, being super intentional, to use your words, around self-confidence, where you use super intentional around being happy. And oh my goodness, I absolutely love that. I can see it's a values thing. It's obviously one of your very high-end values. Same for me, it's confidence as a value. And they are drivers behind what make us successful in what we do. Oh my goodness, Kaitlin, that is absolutely fantastic. And what a great way for you to be able to serve women or support women by starting at the core of something that you believe in so deeply, being happiness. So why is happiness so important to you? And I think I might have just answered that with value. That's what I think. But why do you think happiness is just your number one of importance?
Yeah. So, gosh, I feel like that's such a loaded question because I think that happiness is something that's so personal to each and every person. I also think that the reasons behind, or the drivers behind wanting to live, the happiest life that you can. I think that those reasons can change based off of the seasons of life that you're going through, and based off of, what's happening in your life at any given moment. So for right now, one of the reasons why my own personal happiness is, really a top priority in my life is I feel like it helps me be the best mom that I can to my kiddos. And I also think that it helps me show up the best I can for everyone else in my life, whether that be my husband, my parents, my sisters, my clients, the community that I am, putting my heart and soul into. So that is why ultimately right now in this season of my life, why I prioritize it so much and why it's just so important to me.
And I can see how important it is because you're so enthusiastic, but I actually believe that you're so enthusiastic all the time, which is something that I do love about your energy, is the enthusiasm. But I believe that you're right as well. It is vital that we show up as the best, especially the best mum. For me, we are creating human beings, and we have to create good human beings. And it doesn't matter how old your children are, they are still your children.
Yeah,
my children are probably your age, but they're still my children. And for me, it is important that they feel supported, that they know I would be here for them. Just all of those things that a parent needs to do, we just need to be there. So it doesn't matter at what age or stage that we're in, it is still something that's vital. Also, what is it how do you show up for the people that you work with, and how do you work with people? You mentioned a community. What is it that you intentionally, to use your word, what is it that you intentionally do for women, or how do you work with them?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways. The simplest way to explain is some of the one-on-one coaching packages that I have women enrolled in. Right now, I'm in the process of launching a membership program, which I'm super excited about. Yes.
Well done.
Yes. So that is just me, stepping into niching down further to support specifically women. And so this membership is, it's called Mom Life. It focuses specifically on supporting moms in time and task management, also on building sustainable routines, not only for themselves, but also for their entire family. And then thirdly, and I think most importantly, keeping their cups filled. Because I am a firm believer that when we keep our own cups full, we're able to continue pouring out and giving to our children, to our families, to our communities. But, the caveat to that is that we have to keep our own selves full. We have to serve ourselves first so that we can in turn show up better for those who we want to serve.
And we've always heard when we get on the aeroplane, make sure we put our own mask on before we start putting other masks on. That's one. I've used one before, and I do motivational speaking. I've used one before where I've used, we are the tree, and all the branches are the things in life that we support, be that your clients, your family, your friends, your children, whatever. But if the trunk is weak, we cannot hold up the branches.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have a really solid trunk, and to have that solid trunk, we need to fill our cup. And even personally myself, I know I'm driven, probably like you. I do get to the point where I forget to fill my cup, and I can feel myself becoming grumpy. I actually feel myself becoming grumpy. Do you ever get to that point, Kaitlin? Or what is your stopping point, I suppose, is a good question. How do you stop yourself from getting to that cup, making sure you're filling your cup?
Yeah. So a lot of it is just tuning in to what your body is telling you, in my opinion. So I think that the body has this beautiful way of speaking to us, and the most simple example I can give is when you need water, your body tells you that you're thirsty. When you have to empty your bladder, your body tells you that you have to pee. I think that along those same lines, when our mind is starting to, hit tilt or approach that empty state of our cup, if we want to continue going on with this same analogy, I think that our body tells us that. And so tuning in to what your body is telling you and becoming aware of what some of those, warning signs might be for you. So I can give, some examples in my own life. One of my own warning signs is when I start to hyper plan things. And so I want to be clear, by nature, I am a planner. So I start each week with a plan. I start each day with a plan. I plan almost down to the half hour inside of my work days. I'm a planner, but there is a very clear distinction when I start hyper planning things. And for me, that is definitely a warning sign. It's me trying to, hop into control, being extra controlling of, the things in my life that I could control. So that is a big warning sign for me. Another warning sign for me, so that's kind of like a mental warning sign. A physical warning sign for me is I'll start to get sick. I'll come down with a cold that maybe I just cannot shake. Another one is my anxiety will really start to creep up. And so those are just a couple examples of, my own warning signs that maybe someone listening can relate to. But I guarantee you, if your warning signs don't look like mine, you still have some.
Oh, even as you're saying that, I know mine. I just feel like I'm not smiling enough. And I feel the overwhelm of, I wake up with a to-do list in my head. It's like I have a to-do list that's out the gate, and that stops me smiling. So I can totally relate. And I would guarantee that there is a huge list of warning signs that people probably, as they're listening to this, they'll be ticking off in their own head. That's something I do. Oh, I do this, I do that, because our bodies all have different ways. But I love that you showed the physical side of that, Kaitlin, that there are physical ways. Getting sick. Years ago, my sister used to come and have a holiday with me. She was a super busy mum, and she would drive, even just for a weekend, and switch off. Every time she turned up, because she worked, she was a hairdresser, she would turn up and get cold sores on her mouth. Oh. And it was her body saying, oh, you can have a quick rest now. It was every time. And it was unbelievable that her body was so in tune with, you have to go. Okay, it's rest time. Now you can get sick. Now you can get cold. Yep. She would get cold. She would get all of that. Isn't it incredible how our body...
That's wild.
Body,
yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So the cool thing about you understanding your body and having those reactions and noticing. So what do you do to change that? Like, what's your immediate response for you personally? And then how do you try and maintain it before it falls apart again? Because we're all human, and we forget to do the stuff that works.
Yeah. I really love this question. So there's two primary things that I'll do. The first is stepping back and filling my cup. And the best way that I can ensure I fill my cup is by making sure I have some quiet time in the mornings. So I will just get, super intentional about making sure I'm getting into bed, going to sleep at a time that I'm going to feel well rested when my alarm goes off at, say, 5 or 5:30 the next day, so that I can start my next day with some quiet time. That's one of the first things that I do. The other thing that I do is a little more tactical, if you will. I do a brain dump. I love doing brain dumps. And personally, I will only do them with pen and paper. I think that there is some magic that goes on where transferring just everything that's in your head onto the piece of paper. So I will write down, sometimes it's pages, of just everything that's floating around in my head, all of the tasks, all of the to-dos, in no particular order. Just as they come to me, I will write them down. And there's something about freeing up the mental real estate and then taking it, now that it's on paper, and organizing it so that I feel like I have more of a game plan. Because oftentimes, even though we have so much floating in our heads, so many tasks, so many to-dos, we don't have to do every single one of them right now. And I have found that when you do this huge brain dump, it helps you to, create a game plan and look at things from from a bird's eye view and say, oh, okay, well, maybe these are the things that are most time sensitive or are most critical to my business or are most critical to my household running, whatever it might be. And the rest of these, I still need to do them, but I do not need to do them right now. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And there is neuroscience research that proves getting out of your head and writing things down, getting it written is the best way. So well done you. And yeah, I can completely, I pretty much do something similar. Just get anything out. I have a notebook with me, even in my handbag, a little one, and I just need to write things down. Because if we rely on ourselves to remember, and I think you used all the words in your head. And I was trying to think of an analogy at the same time because I could see what you were saying. I was like, oh my goodness, if you can imagine a head with just so much swimming around in it while you're trying to function as a human and be a mum and run a business and be a wife and, walk the dog and organise everything that you have organised currently with 6 children and everything that we do. If you've got all that scrambling going on in your head, how can you function optimally? Like, how can you?
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. So getting it out is so good. And I love the way that you're pretty much just prioritising it once you've got it out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. For me, I find that, it feels like a physical burden is somewhat lifted when just like as soon as I do that brain dump, it is a physical feeling of relief that I have.
Yeah, it's almost like a soup, getting that soup out of your head.
Yes.
Lots of vegetables. That's what I'm saying. So in your experience working with helping people be happy, I know the answer to the question is yes, so maybe I'm going to ask, how long does it take? How long does it take a person to go from being sad to being happy?
Oh, gosh. I think that really is going to depend on each individual person's deep down desires and how willing they are to put in the time and energy to become happy. So say, for instance, if someone is coming to me and says that they aren't feeling happy, says that they want to feel happy, one thing that I am going to get very clear on with them is, I can give you all of the tools, I can give you the encouragement, but ultimately, you have to be the one that rolls up your sleeves and does the work, Creating happiness for your life takes energy, it takes effort, it takes ongoing effort. It's not a finish line that you cross once and get to check off your list. So I know that's kind of an indirect answer to your question, but if someone's not willing to do the work, then I would be willing to bet that their journey to finding happiness would be a pretty long one.
I love the word roll up the sleeves and do the work. I can picture everything you say. It's a choice, really, isn't it? It's a choice to put the work in or not. Mm-hmm. It's a choice to choose to change your life or not, which is everything I believe in. I think we just have so many similarities. Yours comes from a place of being happy because ultimately happiness takes you to success where you are going. And it's the same with me with self-confidence. They're just words we use, but if we unpack those words for you, it's becoming organised, being clear about what you want, I love the way you use the word intentional a lot, intentionally going to where you want to be, noticing what's working and go back and fix it. I'm just summarising, but I feel like that's where we're headed, which is so similar because I think an intentional life is important, and I've often used, and I've noticed it being used more often now, is we are either in the driver's seat of our life or we're a passenger, and I thought that's what was in your bio, wasn't it? So if we don't take control of our happiness, of our self-confidence, of what we want in life, we end up sitting in that passenger seat and not having, I'm going to say the word control in a positive way, the control over where we are wanting to go or be. I'm going to go to a more personal question, Kaitlin. We already discussed please. You're a mum and you've got little ones, and right now you've got a sick little one, so you've got somebody not well.
I do.
How do you juggle mom life? How do you juggle your mum life with your business life? How does that work for you? And it must be super busy.
It is very busy. Between being a mom of two kids under 3 years old, and starting a business from the ground up, those three elements are always keeping me on my toes, but just in the best way possible. I think the if I had to sum up how I juggle the two, it would be by always having a game plan. But I also have a plan for if my game plan does not go according to plan. So something that I feel pretty strongly about is building flexibility into any habit or routine or goal that you might be after. And the reason I believe that is because just life has a way of throwing us curveballs. And the one thing that we can be certain of is we will get thrown curveballs. So how do we prepare for that? We build in flexibility. The best thing you can do is know curveballs are going to come and be prepared for it ahead of time. A couple tips that I have would be making your to-do list before you're ready to start tackling it. That is a big one that I do. If I don't have time to make my to-do list the night before, I'll make it first thing in the morning before I actually start working. So when the house is still quiet, maybe while I'm drinking my cup of coffee. The reason I do that, and the reason why I think your listeners should try that too, is most of the time when we first sit down to start working or to check things off of our to-do list, we could define that as our A-game brain power. Well, we don't need our A-game brain power when we're making our to-do list. No. That doesn't require A game. That could be, B or C game brain power. So rather than taking up that A game time, let's just already have the list ready. Let's already know what we're going to dive straight into and make the most out of every ounce, every second of that A game time. Another thing that I do is I will identify, and this one was huge today with my sick kiddo. I'll identify the top 1, 2, or 3 most important tasks on my to-do list. Those aren't necessarily the first 1, 2, or 3 things that I do each day, but they are drivers. They help me, stay between the lines when I'm going throughout my work day. And so a lot of times as a business owner, those top 3 things will consist of, some way of serving my current clients and some way of lead generation, of, trying to grow my business so that I can have the opportunity to serve even more clients. So I feel like I was just talking a lot.
No, that was perfect. And we will put a link to your website at the end in this, so people can connect with Kaitlin and check out what she does to make people happy. You said something really pertinent to me just in there around using the A game part of your brain, and there is so much research. I love neuroscience research, but I love the brain-based stuff where we only have a limited amount of A game brain space available per day. So if we start using it up on stuff that doesn't need it, we run out. And people are pretty much unaware of it. The same, you could look at that with willpower. We only have a certain amount of willpower a day as well. So for people that are trying to make sure they give up something or start something, if they're constantly being tested on that thing, because it's around them, let's use, say you were trying to, give up eating chocolate biscuits, and you have them in the house, every time you walk past them, there's that temptation being chipped away at. That's the same as your brain space. So if we use it on tasks that don't need the A game, oh my goodness. But I also love that, yes, you're a lister. You're a lister and you get it out of your head and you start prioritizing, and then just prioritizing what's important and probably letting stuff go, Kaitlin, being okay to go, and that's okay.
I was going to say, it makes me think of something that I like to remind myself very regularly, and that is sometimes we have to say no to good opportunities so that we can have the space, the time, the bandwidth, the capacity to say yes to great opportunities. So what you had just said about, sometimes you have to let things go, that was what came to my mind.
Yeah, and being okay with that. I always think as women, we are just on the supermother treadmill, and especially you right now, you are on the supermother treadmill. That's you. It's like you get up in the morning, you get on your treadmill, and it is go, 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 because there's so much happening in your world with small children and running a business. And, even in my book, I put it down to you've also got to be a wife, and you've got to remember to be, in a relationship that supports him, but a relationship that's about each other. And there is so much that women, I think in the earlier years where you are now, it is just such the supermother treadmill. It is super crazy. I always feel like you're on a treadmill and someone's just dangling a carrot in front of you and you're just running to grab that carrot, but it's just out of reach because there is so much happening. Yep. And on the sidelines, you've got people cheering you on. Yay, go Kaitlin, go Kaitlin. But yeah, the supermother treadmill, that is so where you're at. And you just wake up every morning. In my head, I wake up every morning, I'm lying in bed, I put my Wonder Woman costume on and go, I am good to go. So I just be Wonder Woman in my head. I put my bracelets on so, what other people, that just wards off the negativity. Yes. I put my lying lasso on so I don't kid myself. That's the big one. And then I just believe I have superpowers and carry on through the day. It's actually,
I love it. I love that.
That's who I have to be. So what do you think that is the most important thing that people need to focus on to have happiness with a business, with a family? What is the number one thing that is the biggest focus for you?
I'm going to go back to something that you brought up a little while ago, and that is just being in the driver's seat of your own life. You can sit in the passenger seat and still get from point A to point B, but you don't get to pick the route. I want to pick the route. It's my life. I want to have the control of, and I don't mean control in a negative way. Have you ever seen the movie The Holiday? There is a scene in that movie where the older gentleman is telling, I'm going to have to, while we're here, I'm going to Google the names of these characters so that I don't butcher this. The Holiday characters. This is just way too funny. I can't believe I'm Googling this right now, but it's worth it. Okay, so Arthur is telling Iris how, you need to be the leading lady in your life. Like, don't be the supporting character to the leading lady when it's your life. You get to be the leading lady. And I just always think of that scene, how, leading lady, driver's seat, whichever analogy you want to use, ultimately, they all mean the same thing. And that is, it is your life. So that driver's seat is yours. That leading lady role is yours. So step into it.
Own it. You need to own it, don't you?
Own it.
Well, Kaitlin, such great, words of wisdom from the supermum who's on the supermother treadmill. And we'll put the link to your website here underneath, so if anyone wants to connect with you, and just if people are interested in checking out Kaitlin's program, when are you launching your new program?
That will be starting middle of October, so depending on when this airs to your lovely listeners, could be just a couple days away.
I think that will probably work. Now you've just given me a shuffle on, why not? Okay, so, and
yes,
you mentioned there was a brain dump resource that you could share.
Yes, I would love to. So first of all, and probably easiest, I'll share the link with you so you can put it in the show notes, but also you can find it on my Instagram. So just in that the Instagram bio link and click on the freebies, and there is a brain dump worksheet there that walks you through not only getting everything out of your head and onto paper, but also organizing it and creating a game plan out of it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I know what it takes to create a resource, and sometimes people think, it's a freebie, it's nothing, but we don't create resources unless they're useful, and I'm downloading it as soon as I get it. I'm on it. I'm going to get on your brain dump because I do love it. And it's always good to see how somebody else does something, because it could tweak the way I currently do something. Yeah, we're not set in stone. Yep. Well, Kaitlin, that's been great. Thank you so much for sharing your time. And I know you're at night, and I'm in the morning where I am. It's nice and early in Australia. What time is it where you are?
It is almost 4 p.m.
Well, that's not too bad. Over in whereabouts?
No, not too bad. Yep, I'm in Houston, Texas.
Gorgeous accent. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and helping. I hope this just enlightens someone as a reminder that to be happy, I think you need to be intentional. And it's probably like everything in life, but what a fabulous reminder. So we will, for the Bounce Back Better podcast, remember my tip is to always, when you listen to this, please text a girlfriend and to just remind them how amazing they are. And maybe you could use the word happy in your text today. Maybe your text could be, I hope you have a super happy day. And if not, I hope this text makes you smile. So anyway, that's for me this week, and I will catch you next week. Bye.